This is a very special audio interview with Dr. Renu Swarup. She is the Secretary for the Department of Biotechnology, one of India's coronavirus warriors. While the Indian Council of Medical Research and the Ministry of Health is pursuing how to control the coronavirus using public health measures, Dr. Renu Swarup's department is looking at the scientific aspects and trying to work out how to give India the best diagnostics and the best vaccines. Dr. Renu Swarup, India is well known for its scientific capabilities. How have those capabilities been deployed to control the coronavirus pandemic?
Thank you, Pallava. What I would like to say is that we are going through some of the most testing times any of us could have ever imagined. And as any citizen of the world, the scientists have taken it on themselves, their responsibility to stand up and come forward to provide solutions which can then help us to tackle this huge problem which has come in. The scientists are working for all aspects of the solutions, that is from the vaccines to the drugs, therapeutics, and of course, immediately need, and that is the diagnostic kits. And my department, with all the research institutes that we are working and with the startup community, is coming forward to address these challenges.
So let's take them one by one. On diagnostic kits, there was a need for a rapid diagnostic test to be made available. Dr. Balram Bhargav announced that there has been some kind of a breakthrough in the Make in India effort in that. I believe that's part of the pool from your department. Can you give me some more details on that?
Yeah, so we've been working with all our various startups for technologies which they have developed within the country, and also some of them in collaboration with laboratories outside. What we've really got a breakthrough today is the MyLabs diagnostic kit for COVID, which has gone through and cleared the test of ICMR NIV. So we had set them a pool of large number of diagnostics, about 8 of them, and then we followed it up with another 7 which are currently with them for testing. But right now, 2 of them cleared the test in the first list of 9 that they put out, and one was a US FDA one, but this MyLab in India kit, which has got the license for manufacturing, and we are now use samples. This is a Pune-based startup, and they have experience for working with other infectious diseases, and now they've tested this out for COVID. This is going to be a faster kit. It's an RT-PCR. It's going to be about 2 hours vis-a-vis the 7 hours which currently the others take. And they are confident of it being able to scale it up to large numbers. In fact, said that they would be able to have nearly 1 lakh kits in a week. So we have to, of course, give them a little time to scale up their numbers. But yes, we're very proud of our startups that they've come forward for this Make in India kit, which we will make available to our citizens.
And have they indicated what would be the cost of it? Would it be cheaper than what is there currently being used?
Yes, definitely. That is what they have indicated. So private labs have, of course, authorized by ICMR with a cost of per test to about 4,500. But this test that we are looking at is going to be in much cheaper numbers. Again, once they scale it up, is when we will really look at what the costs are going to be. And so this is going to be much, much cheaper than what is already available.
And what about having a test which could give you a result in, say, half an hour or literally on the spur of the moment?
Yeah, so those tests and those kits are also under development. We have, in fact, a couple of our startups who are working on those tests, but they need a little bit more time before we get them rolled out. But that is going to be next in the line. So we are quickly working on those, but not easy for me to give you an immediate timeline, but to say this, that we are working with them and we should have them very, very soon.
See, there was this issue about the probes India was importing the probes. Initially we did a few lakh, then we did 1 million probes, some from Germany, some being imported from the World Health Organization. How are we trying to overcome this stumbling block of making probes in India?
So now with these various laboratories coming forward, our own DBT Autonomous Institute laboratories, some of the research institutes and many of the startups, they've all worked together. Now with these kits that are coming forward, they themselves will be working also for their own reagents and others. So we will, of course, the ICMR kits that they are getting in do have what they're bringing in terms of the imported kit and the various probes, etc. But for our Indian kits, etc., we are already working on a network of laboratories, and we are confident that as we are rolling out the kits, enough sufficient reagents to be able to provide for these kits will also be available.
While this is for diagnostics, any move on trying to get some therapeutics into the pipeline, especially because your department does a lot of work on human research?
Yeah, so we have, in fact, a two-pronged approach that we are taking on it. One is to try and look at the repurposing of drugs. And we have the DBT Autonomous Institute, along with a few other laboratories, have sort of really put up together a consortium. The CSIR labs, the DBT labs are all coming together. We also have a very rich resource available within our laboratories, that is of libraries of small molecules and others, which they are now taking up for screening for the antivirals. And that screening activity is also, in fact, the research plan is on. We're just now developing the assays through which these could be screened. We're also looking at some of the international collaborations that we have with NIH and others to be able to collaborate with them in terms of some of the validated assay panels, which can be brought in to do very quick screening. So both those approaches are being looked at. The other most important approach is to look at the monoclonal antibodies. Mm-hmm. And that, of course, the work has already started. We have about 4 of our laboratories who have come together and formed a consortium network. We were currently just waiting for access to the patient samples. And we need patient samples for those patients who have recovered. Mm-hmm. And fortunately in India, I would really say the word again and again, fortunately, we do not have large numbers, and our patients came in only in the last week, so they need to be at least 6 to 8 weeks of recovery period before we access their samples. So now we have some patients who have been discharged and who've been relieved. We are working with the ethics committee approvals with the hospitals to get access to those samples, and then we would be ready to go to be able to screen. Our libraries are ready. Our resources have been placed together. We should be able to take them as soon as we get access to samples.
Some researchers were complaining that all the actual COVID-19 virus, which is the coronavirus samples, are only with the National Institute of Virology and the ICMR. They are not able to get access to other samples. Has there been any move to try and ease the situation for researchers?
Yes, definitely. DBT and ICMR are working very closely with each other. We also have to give NIV, they're really working overtime to be able to do all the testing for us and they are the reference lab where everything has to go for confirmation. So obviously we didn't have sufficient numbers earlier. So now that they've got the isolated virus, we are now looking at getting access to it, and they will be making it available. DBT and ICMR have already agreed on that. I've had a conversation with the DG, and these will be made available very quickly to our researchers. It's a matter of days now before they have access to that.
So meaning all the laboratories which have the biosafety and biosecurity clearances.
So they will need, yes. So they will need a BSL-3 laboratory to be able to handle it. So I'm not saying all the laboratories, but maybe even if one laboratory in the research consortium can get access to it, then they could, be these nerve center to be able to work with other partners. So all those issues are being taken care of. Right now, NIV has already done it. NIV has also released the sequence of 2 sequences. Our laboratories, NIBMG, CDSP, all these laboratories are geared up now to look at it and also to study the genomic variation of the viruses over time, over populations, over geographies. So all that research work has been planned. As soon as we get access to the virus and also to the samples, we will be able to roll out our research plan.
This sequence, which has been released by the National Institute of Virology, Dr. Balram Bhargav, said that it was 99.95% in concordance with what he called the Wuhan virus.
Yes.
Now, when we have the sequence, how does the sequence help Indian scientists?
So this is a very important resource for us to start working on the various genomic activities that they've started. So they've already started that research using the sequence data, which is already in public domain. The scientists have already started working on it, but it will also be helpful if we could sequence other virus strains which are available within the country. So 2 sequences have been put out. We're waiting for others to come in. As I said, it gives us the extent of variation, which may not be there at all. I mean, even this being in conformity with the Wuhan probably gives us an indication that they would all be identical. But we would still like to study if there is a mutation, if there is a difference, if there is a variation. It provides new knowledge for newer understanding, more importantly for the therapeutics that are being developed and other activities. So that's an important piece of research which our scientists would want to take forward.
And how much do we have an understanding of this virus? Everybody is saying this is a new virus. But now that Indian scientists have had they've been able to, as one would say, dirty the hands a little bit, got some time to get their act together. What is the state of the understanding by Indian scientists of this new virus?
So the coronavirus, obviously, we've had earlier cases, which you can look at it, but this is obviously the novel coronavirus which has sort of caught all of us. And so scientists are still trying to bring out the various understandings of it. So each virus has its own complexities and its own ways in which they would want to be tackled from the scientific viewpoint. So right now, as I said, the information available is what is on public domain. But we will need access to more samples to be able to understand the extent of variation, the extent of, how it moves between populations and geographies. And probably then we'll have a more understanding of what it is. But a virus is a virus, and it's very interesting to work on from the research viewpoint, but obviously not as interesting to see how it reacts on us.
Does the department have sufficient funds, or are you seeking emergency help from the finance ministry for this work?
No. At the moment, to begin with, we'll be good with what is available because we're just starting a new financial year and we do have a good allocation for the year, which we will be able to. Yes, what we will do is probably some of our budgets from different activities. Currently, we will pool it for the COVID research and then subsequently seek additional funds for the other activities that we take on. But right now, we've been able to allocate funds for the COVID research consortium.
Would you be able to give me a number as to what is the kind of number we have in mind for, or what can the scientists access to?
Yeah, so right now we are not putting a cap. What we actually told the scientists is come up with the research plans. Funds will not be a problem for you. So we will find ways of meeting those funds either from the existing programs which are already available because we do have different schemes under which we fund programs. So we could pool in all those together. So we still have the research plans coming up in, the consortium form. Once we get the, extent of the funds that the scientists need, then we will be able to see how much we need and we'll be able to take forward.
And has there been any progress on the front of vaccines? Because one has seen Chinese and an American product going into human clinical trials. Now that we have we have the virus extracted, we also have the sequence and the Department of Biotechnology. See, India is well known for making vaccines for the world. So has there been any movement from your department on making an indigenous vaccine against the coronavirus?
Yeah, so Pallava, this has to be looked at in 2 ways. One is what is our immediate need? Our immediate need is to have a vaccine which we can make available to the citizens, which could come from anywhere, whether it's global or Indian. The immediate requirement is to have a vaccine that we can make available. But having said that, of course, research on an Indian vaccine is key for us. So we are looking at it both ways. One is we have industries within the country who have partnered globally as well to be able to see how they can expedite vaccine availability for our country. And it's been in the media as well. So Serum, Zydus, these are some of the companies which are in the forefront and trying to bring in new technologies, including their own, which they would want to test out and take forward. So that's definitely fairly advanced. Our scientific research groups are working on vaccine development, and as I said, this is of course the research which was started based on existing knowledge that they had, plus the access to the information which has been put out from the virus. But we are still waiting to bring in more virus strains data available with them so that they could take that forward. But our immediate focus now is how we could expedite the regulatory approvals and others to be able to bring in whatever vaccine initiatives and activities that we have globally. If there are any leads, can we actually bring them to India? So we've actually created a rapid regulatory response framework, which is going to help expedite regulatory approvals, not just for vaccines, but for drugs, repurposing, and for devices as well.
There is one question which is lingering in the minds of many people, both in India and in the world, and you being the Secretary of the Department of Biotechnology and a scientist yourself. Many people feel that this particular Wuhan strain of the COVID-19 or the coronavirus is actually a synthetic virus, which is sometimes referred as a bioweapon. Have the Indian scientists or your department come to any kind of understanding on whether this is a synthetic virus or is this a naturally evolved virus?
So as we said, Pallava, we have to go with the data which has been made available, and the data which is available clearly shows that it is a virus which is a normal virus which we do have different virulent strains coming out. So nothing right now gives us an understanding of this being a synthesized virus, or there is no such data that gives us that understanding.
So you don't think it is what people call a bioweapon? It is as they say, a natural evolution from animal strain to a human strain and a new coronavirus. Is that correct?
So the data which has come out, which is being examined, gives us evidence of that. And that's really from the data that we have and which our scientists have been able to see, a lot of it which is in public domain.
And to sum it now, is the Indian scientific community fully geared and working in step with Prime Minister Narendra Modi to try and control the coronavirus pandemic?
Absolutely. I think the scientific communities all come together, and this is not just DBT, which is obviously the key department for vaccine, drugs, and therapeutics and diagnostics, but working in tandem with all other ministries and agencies, be it the CSIR, the ICMR, of course, which is our key partner to take this forward, working with AYUSH, because they're looking at some repurposed drugs as well. So it's a national consortium that we're working towards. It's a national commitment that our Indian scientists have to be able to come forward with solutions for this huge challenge which has come to the community. And I'm sure the scientific community is going to stand up and respond to the Prime Minister's call of beating this deadly virus.
It was a pleasure speaking to you, Dr. Renu Swarup, and for you to throw light on what the Indian scientists are doing. And I'm sure the listeners would be happy to hear that we have the first Make in India or Made in India kit available for diagnostic testing, and it would be ramped up to about 1 lakh kits being made available per week soon, and also that you're repurposing old drugs and finding new ones, and also trying to understand the science of the coronavirus. And also thanks for debunking that this was a bioweapon which was used against the world. Pleasure speaking to Dr. Renu Swarup. Be safe, be healthy. remain as much indoors as you can. Both of us are frontline workers who go out and do our work in trying to help the country control the coronavirus pandemic.